Probably better than what the military does, honestly. I mean, the final wrap is really the spec that you're going for.
That's what the manual says.
Says it right in the manual.
3 wraps. In this video, I'm going to document my experience buying a bobbed 5-ton military truck. I was over Camaradas the other day, and his buddy had a 5-ton, and I was like, you know what? I've always wanted one of these. I've actually always wanted a deuce and a half, but I've always wanted one. So I'm gonna finally pull the trigger today on it. The only thing I don't like about the 5-ton is that they're all automatic transmission. It's a whopping 95 degrees out today. I'm gonna be riding the Africa Twin down there. It's around 2.5 hours. Scratch that, we're gonna take the Tundra down because Downstater ADV over here is pulled through. I'll plug a link to his channel right up here. So that way we have some tools in case we break down.
What are we going to get, buddy?
Getting a 5-ton.
The thing is cocky. Jesus. Oh, what do you think?
It feels nice. Nice and smooth over the bumps for what it is.
Yeah.
Break out 5-ton of cash.
Good to go.
Good to go.
I actually had one of these years ago, and great trucks. Mine was all stock. This one was done beautifully though. They snipped the frame right back here, put a set of the front springs on there just to lighten the ride a little bit. We're not seeing anything. It's not even so. Normally on almost all of these front boots right here are just pissing oil all over the place, and this is one of the first ones I've ever seen that's not doing that. That's where they did the snippy snip right here, shortened up this bed. You can kind of see it, but oh well. But yeah, she's beautiful. Nice truck, really nice truck.
So you're good to drive this truck or what?
Yeah, dude.
Drive manual transmission?
I'll be all right.
The 5-ton's got a cup holder, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple cup holders actually, and heated seats. You're good to go, man. All the creature comforts. This old girl's been through the battle.
Never been in the bottom of the river.
Never. This truck was never in 10 feet of water, everybody. Just so you know, never. Not once. Except for that one time.
Slowly! First problem detected. We got an air leak, we hear, so
right there.
Oh yeah, wow,
Pissing out.
that is ugly. Luckily I drive around with a bunch of junk, so we got some duct tape and hose clamp. Gonna take care of that air leak.
Nothing a little duct tape can't fix, I'll tell you. Probably better than what the military does, honestly. I mean, the final wrap is really the spec that you're going for, you know? Says it
That's
right.
what the manual says.
Says it right in the manual.
3 wraps. This is where the real strength comes in.
Yeah, I mean, that's factory as far as I can tell.
Oh, I would say so too.
Yeah.
No more air leaks, good to go. Well, we made it. 2.5 hours back. 5 tons of champs.
How them tires doing?
Good.
Nice and hot?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Ah, she did good.
See how much fuel it burns.
See how much fuel you spilled, more like it. Jesus.
Yeah, right?
There must be a gasket missing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there. And we just topped her back off. 7.5 gallons. We did 97 miles. That comes out to a whopping 12.93 miles to the gallon. Out of a 14-liter diesel,
It's crazy.
that's not bad.
100 miles.
Unbelievable. And
Wow.
that was hammered down. We were doing like 55.
Oh yeah, all day.
Next morning, let's see how she does with the cold start. Right out. And she did hold air pressure overnight too, 60 PSI. This soft top is rattling a bunch. I gotta put some bushings in here so it doesn't rattle so loud down the road. I think the biggest advantage to having one of these that's bobbed is that it'll actually fit in a regular parking spot, or at least you have a better chance of it. And I'm back at work now. I'm gonna go work on a Tesla. So what a difference driving this to a Tesla. All right, let's pull on the scale and see what this thing weighs real quick. 18,400. This will be a good place to try out the four-wheel drive and the low-range transfer case. If you just hit this on, that's air actuated, and we turn it off. All right, let's try that out. Yeah. So you guys saw it was a one-legger on the back, and then when I put it in the four-wheel, she climbed right up this little hill, no problem. Even with this old leaf spray suspension, it's actually not bad over these bumps. It's not air suspension, but, and I assume this is the transfer case here, so let's give that a yank up. Okay, that went right in. Put it back in gear. See if we're in low range now. Now we're in neutral. Okay, put that back into neutral. Oh, all right, I can feel that. There it goes. Now we're in low range. Oh yeah. Granny first gear, baby. Looks great on the front lawn. Sure my neighbors are gonna love this thing. But the big question is, does it fit into my backyard? No problem, just had to fold the mirrors in. Looks like you got a tire leak. This is an example of something you would use a plug-in and not a patch plug, because I'll be damned if I'm gonna dismount this. That took like 15 minutes to get it up to 70 PSI, and sprayed her down with soapy water. No leaks yet. I've replaced this front brake hose with some 250 PSI air hose I had kicking around and hose clamps just for now, but I have new hoses on order. They were 36 bucks for the pair. All right, this door rattles a ton and it doesn't open from the outside. You gotta open it from the inside. Perfect. The other side doesn't need any adjustment. The way these doors work is if you want to lock them, well, to open it from the inside you pull up, and then to lock it you just push that down, and then it can't be opened from the outside anymore. And so this seems to just be completely detached from the latch. I see what happened. This piece here just got worn out, and so you can see if I just hammer that one down or weld some more metal on there. Looks good. All All right, so this part one was pretty much covering purchasing the truck, and I'm gonna close it out by doing a full tour of it and show you a few more things that need addressing. One of them is the air brake system. So this has primary and secondary air, and from what I understand, this should be your rear brakes, emergency brakes, and then this is your front brakes and accessories like wipers and such. You can see these do bleed down. The truck's been sitting for a couple days, so we're at 30 PSI now. So if you fire it up, again, that's the battery switch, and this is run, position, and start. So I'm gonna kind of show you all these controls too in this video. We see our low air lights on, so that's great. And now one thing that does need to be fixed is if I go to drive this truck and well, that's parking brake applied. If I push this, it shouldn't stay in because it doesn't have enough pressure yet. So either there's a problem with that switch, or better yet, I think, or worse yet, I think he's got something plumbed wrong. And then so it has the emergency brake here too, and for some reason when you want to set it, you have to pull that and pull the emergency brake. You have to use them both. That does not apply the brakes without pulling this. Now your low air buzzer has to work too, and I hear it, but it's like super quiet. What the? Oh, looks like somebody just put some bubble gum over top of it. Alright, well that's much better. You can actually hear that now. And that should shut off around 60 or so PSI. So that buzzer goes on when you hit the brake either way. And now let's see, put the brake off. If I run the pressure back down, I'll turn to the run switch, battery on, cycle it down. Almost to 6. All right, so there's 60 PSI. And yes, that low buzzer and the light does work. Excellent. Besides the air brake issues, let me show you the rest of the controls. So windows, you crank these open, grab this, and then you can fold this really far out, almost actually, yeah, just about flat, fully forward, and then you can lock these out, and you have the window open, and it stays very sturdy and nice. These little guys are for diverting the air onto the window when you're defrosting. There's a little vent behind here. Your windshield wipers, everything's air actuated on this. So for the left one, you can just turn that, and then these little air lines go up, and you have a wiper to park it. You just spin it back left, right wiper over here. Okay, it's kind of cool, the air wipers. Let me just show you. Let's start this back up and show you a couple things here too. I don't know why I did that. You have a throttle for if you were, say, winching or using the PTO. You can manually pull this throttle out, raise up the RPM, and then to turn it off, you twist it sideways and push it in. So this, I haven't tried the PTO yet, but I'll show you that underneath in a second. And then to shut the engine off manually, right down here, emergency fuel cut off. And let's just breeze over the rest of the controls and panel. I already showed you the transfer case down there, the front wheel drive. This is your cold start ether, so this will inject ether into the engine for cold start. The washer, also air actuated. This is your panel, so your instrument cluster to go dim or bright or park. I'm not sure what that does, but usually, you leave it in off. This is your air filter indicator. If the air filter gets clogged up, that'll turn red, and you push it to reset it. To use the blinkers, these will not work unless you have it at least on stoplight. So you have to unlock it by pushing here and then go one click, and now your blinkers and brake lights will work, or your markers and drive lights, you would go to service drive. Now over on the left here, you see you don't actually have to hit the unlock to go to blackout marker lights, and you do if you want to go to blackout drive lights. That's for convoy driving. Got your parking brake, low air, spring override, axle lock indicator, high beam indicator, which the high beam is down on the floor here. ABS malfunction indicator, which was mandatory upgrade on these. So it came with this little card showing that, because they had so many people locking up the brakes on these, which would lock the torque converter, stall the engine, lose power steering, and then these were rolling a lot of these over. Tachometer, speedometer, 21,900 miles. Engine coolant temperature, primary air, secondary air, voltage, trans oil, oil pressure for the engine. Fuel gauge doesn't work. Looks like you have little warning lights too for the trans. Well, these look like little warning lights here, or are they just fuses? Let's find out. Yes, they are warning lights, which have been painted over, looks like. Defrost, pull that out. Heat, pull this. Fresh air, it usually sucks air from the cab. If you want fresh air from the outside, you would pull that in. This is the water fording valve, and what this does when you pull it out, it actually sends air to the crankcase of the engine, the differentials, power steering reservoir. It basically puts a low pressure into all those, so that way water pressure from being water under the water won't push into them. So as soon as you're done, you push that before you enter, and then pull it out as soon as you're coming out of the water. To check the trans oil, you have an access cover here, right there, trans dipstick. This is the blower fan. You got low and high, air horn, and I think that's everything on the inside. The fuel leak that I had ended up being the strainer that was in here had a gasket torn, so I just took the strainer out for now, and no more fuel leakage. Spare tire, good luck getting that down because, well, he didn't leave me the jack or anything, but there's actually a crane that usually comes off here with a little winch for getting this down. The soft top comes off fairly easy from what it looks like, and once you do that, this whole frame actually, it looks like it will fold down too onto the hood, so you could just have low height for if you wanted to put this, you know, drive it through something that had low overhead. This turns into a flatbed by dropping the 3 sides down, and comes with lots of cargo tie downs inside of it. To open the hood, real simple, and then you slide this pin in so that way this rod can't possibly fall out and come down on you. And this is the Cummins NHC250, 14 liters of fuel. I think it's 855 cubic inch. Power steering pump, starter motor, air compressor, injection pump, I believe, fuel injection pump. Air actuated fan clutch, massive 28 volt generator, blower fan, air horn, coolant reservoir, exhaust manifold. That is pretty much a tour of the engine compartment. Intake comes down, and here is the air box. Let's take a look at the filter. Actually popped right off, no problem. Hey, air filter's nice and clean, and that thing is pretty huge. Good stuff. I'm surprised it doesn't have a drain on the bottom, but I guess if you got water in there, you would just crack it loose. So the intake comes back out here and then goes up, and you have a rain cap on the top with a screen on it too. When you pull the water fording valve, here's a look at what it actually does. It has this cable attached to these 2 valves, and it lets air pressure in coming from here, and see it, so it pressurizes the crankcase, and then these lines go all over. It's pressurizing your power steering fluid, and you can see it runs back down, so this runs probably down to the differentials. Well, okay, I guess it's supposed to do that, but you can see this differential just has one of those little tiny caps you see on a pickup truck. These use Rockwell axles, and man, these things are bulky. Over on the passenger side, 24 volt receptacle for charging up the truck. The stack is on an angle. I'm sure you guys have seen that, but that's how they all are. Air tank drains. You got 4 of them. You're supposed to drain these every night, so that way if there's any water sitting in the bottoms, they don't freeze over. A fuel tank storage for a jerry can. You have some storage in here. Lots of nice space. And then another one right here, if I can. Oh, there it goes. This hinge also needs a little bit of little lube. So I got a block of wood for chocking the wheels. You always want to chock the wheels on this thing. And another canvas. Not sure if that's a top or what that is. Hydraulic fluid tank for the PTO. So off the transmission. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. This is the PTO shaft. It goes over to a hydraulic pump right there, which is connected to that tank, and I haven't tried messing with this system at all, but it does have it. And going from the front back, here's a visual tour. You can see no leaks, drips, or anything like that. It's got some new air components on it that I have to, again, come mess with. I don't like some of his cable routing that he did back here, so I'll have to address all that stuff. Big ol' U-joints on this thing. Drum brakes all around, but the rears have spring brakes, so these are your parking brakes. When you release the air from the system, these lock up under spring pressure. The truck does have glad hands on the front for if you were towing this behind another one to be able to hook the air brakes up. The fuel filters on the driver's side has a petcock on the bottom, which is protected, and one right here too. That's just like a canister type, so you would remove this bolt on the top and the whole thing drops down, replace the cartridge. Even being 90 degrees out today, it's just a breeze driving us with the window open. Feels like you're on a motorcycle. That tire leak down here at the Delaware River. So where I'm parked, this is where high tide is, and right now we're an hour till low tide, so the water's still going out. In case I get stuck, I can go and get my truck and pull us out, but because this is real slick, muddy stuff, and you can see the muck line, that's where the high tide is. Risky business with how slick these rocks are. Might end up changing this video title to "I sunk my 5-ton in the river." I still have the tires up at 70 psi to get off. Might be going down. Nope, way too risky. She's actually digging a hole right now, and I just tried going forward and can't even move. Now this is supposed to have a Detroit locker in the rear, according to this sticker. It says this vehicle is equipped with a Detroit locker, no spin, positive locking differentials in the rear axles. But I guess that doesn't work anymore. Well, that was a big disappointment. I'll be back at high tide. Again, it's just not worth losing the truck. If I get this stuck and the tide comes back in, I'm done for it. And I mean, there's just some nasty stuff out here. Once it digs in under these rocks, it's slippery and mucky. What I gotta do is order the winch, get that hooked up, and then we can do stupid stuff. Enough stupidity for one day. One thing I'm absolutely terrified of happening is having a runaway diesel case. And that's when basically, even if you shut the fuel valve off, it might still be getting, let's say, oil pressure from crankcase ventilation or something or another. And the only way to stop it is to cover up the intake. So what I'm gonna try right now, I don't know if this would actually work in a case of a runaway diesel, but if I throw a bag over the stack, I wonder if it'll shut her down. Let's find out. All right, there it goes. It sucked that bag in, and it's actually, let's see what it's doing here. It wants to shut off. Oh my God, it completely collapsed that. All right, it still doesn't want to shut off. See, I pulled the fuel and it still hasn't shut off. There it goes. Wow. Okay, so that probably wouldn't work in an emergency, and I'm lucky that didn't break the air box. But you see, that did actually show suction on the air filter. Boom, there we go. Reset that. Let's see if I destroyed anything. No, so I guess that would work because it creates a suction in the riser and then kind of kinked that in completely and blocked off the flow. But yeah, if you ever have a runaway diesel, you essentially want to be able to, this should have some kind of like butterfly valve on it, so you could just stop that in the case of a runaway diesel. Absolutely terrified. I've seen the videos of that happening, and it's scary. I'm gonna keep this bag in here for now, but if anybody that sees this has a better idea, let me know, because I would definitely like to upgrade that. Anyway, I think that's gonna conclude the tour of this truck. I'm sure I missed some things, like that seat over there. I haven't even messed with that, and a couple other odds and ends, and you know, who knows, maybe I gave some wrong information too. But I've been driving it for about a week or so, maybe two, having a lot of fun with it. It's pretty neat. People love it. Kids especially love this thing when they see it. And I still got to find the air leak in that tire, because that's a real slow leak. Tune in for part 2 if you want to see more repairs on this truck and actually having some fun with it, going off-road and getting stuck and all that good stuff. Gonna be fun. So, all right, till next time, this is No Nonsense Know-How here, and I hope you enjoyed it. I really do appreciate you watching if you did watch this far. And yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Ladies, I'll see you.